Hey guys, and welcome to episode 4 of Cozy Spooky Readings. I have a few more selections for you ready today, so let's just jump into it. I'm a driver for the dead. The first person I ever drove was my mother. A few days after her funeral, she came to me while I slept. I was blurry-eyed and still half asleep when I agreed, fetching my keys and wandering to the car. It was only once I was in the car that I realized what was happening. She didn't speak much, just said that she needed to get to the airport. That's how they all are, I've found, only half aware. They ask to go to the airport or the ferry or sometimes the train station. They show up in the dead of the night or in the early morning dawn, standing alongside my bed. Once I get them to where they want to go, they just sort of disappear. I guess it's their way of moving on. Most are peaceful, calm. They had died of old age or some sickness. Sometimes, though very rarely, they died in some tragic accident. They would appear in the manner they died, broken, torn apart. That became my life, until I met Harry. He was the light of my life, and together we had a child named Thomas. I still continue to drive, not often, just a few times per week. Harry knew, of course, and he told me he understood, though sometimes I felt as if he was simply humoring me. And then Thomas died. We knew it was coming. Leukemia. He was diagnosed too late, not long after his 7th birthday. He lived for 2 more months. I took to drinking, hard, but it completely broke Harry. He would sit up late into the night, staring at the darkness at the end of our bed. I'd drink downstairs until I passed out, but one night he found me there. He woke me, clawing at my shirt, his eyes bright, frantic. "Sammy, you'll see him. When he comes to you, you'll see him. Let me speak with him, Sammy, please." I told him that I've never seen a child, only people our own age or older. He wouldn't believe me. He started screaming. He got violent. I had to leave. I had to. I couldn't take it. But I wasn't in any condition to drive. I woke up in the hospital, barely lucid. Machines hooked to my flesh, wires threaded through my veins, but Harry was there. I saw him through the haze as doctors surrounded me, as they fought to keep me alive. The police were there too, asking questions that I couldn't answer. Through it all, Harry stood beside me. It was days later when I finally woke in the dead of the night. Still in the hospital, I turned to my side. Harry was there. I reached out to him. I asked him what happened. For a long moment, he was quiet. Finally, he reached out to me. It was then I noticed that the skin of his wrist had parted. His arm bloodied. His hand slipped through mine. "Sammy," he spoke softly. "I need a ride." This story has a happy ending. That's my promise to you. But it starts out bleak. A boy was kidnapped, snatched from his home in broad daylight. No one sees anything. No one hears anything. How is that even possible? A busy street, full of life, full of witnesses, and not a single soul sees a boy being forcefully pulled into a van? What kind of society do we live in where we allow that to happen? It gets worse. Turns out the boy isn't taken for ransom. The police are clueless. Days, weeks, and months go by, but they are no closer to finding him. It's like he disappeared into thin air. They whisper behind closed doors. He didn't, of course. We all know that. The parents are broken, shattered in pieces, unfixable. He was their only child, too. They have no one else to care for, so they don't. They don't care. They fall apart at the seams. But they never give up hope. The boy wakes in excruciating pain every day. He hasn't seen the sun for weeks now, a pallid and morbidly thin shadow of the lively child he once was. He knows only darkness and torment and fear. Minutes like hours, hours like days, days like weeks. He cries until there are no more tears, and then, when he runs out of the salt and the water, his body convulses in horrible seizures. almost as if his weakened soul is desperately looking for an off switch. There is no such switch. They won't allow him to die. He knows that. They come down into the darkness every 2 hours like clockwork, with their video cameras and their knives and their blowtorches and wires and scalpels. They cut him, slice him, burn him, shock him, all the while joking and laughing and idly conversing, like it's just another day at the job. There are no humans in that basement anymore, just a broken thing, and the things that broke him. We are a heinous species, aren't we, when left unchecked? When promised we will not be persecuted for our crimes, we will do them all. For money, for pleasure, for a kick, for science, for curiosity. Just because we can. That's who we are, the essence of humanity. But I promised you, the story has a happy ending. It does. I realize you're worried about your boy. You don't have to be. We're taking good care of him. He keeps asking for you both in pathetic, sniffled sobs and pleas. I told him we killed you. More tears for the camera. He loves you dearly, and I just thought you should know that. We will keep him alive for a long, long, long time. Be happy. This is a happy ending, just like I promised. The woman with no skin. I heard her before I saw her, the woman with no skin. I found her tied to a tree in the woods behind my house, all shiny and bloody. Skinned alive, she was. When I approached her, she looked at me with such longing, such pain, that I knew I couldn't leave her there. Her battered body hung limply across the rotten bark. She was all muscle and bone. When I touched her, she felt stretchy, like she was made of plasticine. A badly made prop from an 80s horror movie. That's how she looked. What happened to you? Where did you come from? I'd ask her. I came from within, she'd reply. I couldn't quite grasp her words, couldn't fathom what she meant, but I longed to help her, yearned to save her. At the time, I didn't know why. I want to be let back in, she'd say. Let back in where? I'd ask. Inside, she'd reply. Over the next few months, I nursed her back to health, and with each passing day, the more alive she became, the better I felt. I couldn't do anything about her missing flesh, but somehow, I knew that she didn't need it to survive. I knew that this woman was born with no skin. It was how she was created. Despite the rapid recovery, I still felt she was longing for something that I wasn't giving her, but each time I'd ask, all she'd say is that she wanted to be let back in. She wanted to go back to where she belonged. One night, she disappeared. I felt such an intense sadness, like my heart had been ripped out crudely from my chest. I grieved for her, and I didn't know why. Then I heard her, weeping again, wailing. I found her tied to a tree in the woods behind my house. She was overflowing, black, inky blood poured from each and every orifice. She was dying. What can I do? I pleaded with her. Let me back in, she replied. I suddenly realized something. The understanding hit me like a ton of lead. I went back and I retrieved a knife. I sliced my chest open, the flesh unwrapped with such ease, like a lacy corset. There was no blood. I looked down and I saw that I was nothing but an empty sack of skin. I had no insides, no center. I saw nothing. I was nothing but a vacant pouch. I looked up and I stared into her eyes. I realized then that they were my eyes. My mouth quivered and I smiled. I unraveled the rest of me, opened myself up fully, and I closed my eyes. Okay, come back in, I said. I wake up, I smile. I wake up, I smile. I lay out my son's work clothes, shirt, starched, tie, slacks, socks, loafers. I serve breakfast, eggs poached, rye toast, bacon, extra crispy, his favorite. He frowns. What's wrong, honey? He reaches for his fork, drapes the napkin across his lap. Honey? He shakes his head. Nothing, Ma. I asked for sausage this morning. I frown. I don't remember him asking at all. It's okay, Ma. Thank you. He's out the door at 8 a.m. sharp. I busy myself with the regular chores, sweep the floors, put the dishes away, wipe down the counters. Then I busy myself with nothing but waiting for my son to come home. I take care of him. He takes care of me. We take care of each other. We always have. Dinner's on the table as he walks in. 5:30 p.m. Roast chicken, right on time. We watch our shows in the den. He laughs. I laugh. We're happy. At 9 p.m., I dress for bed. I feel feverish and confused. I lay down. My son finds me in bed. He calls my name. I've forgotten myself. Forgotten what I'm doing. My nightgown is half buttoned. He finishes it for me. I feel unwell, and I tell him so. He strokes my hair. Go to sleep, Ma. I do. I wake up. I smile. I lay out my son's work clothes, shirt, starched, tie, slacks, socks, loafers. I serve breakfast, eggs poached, rye toast, bacon, extra crispy. He frowns. What's wrong, honey? He shakes his head. Nothing, Ma. I frown. I've forgotten something. You wanted your eggs scrambled, didn't you? He sighs. It's okay, Ma. Thank you. He's out the door, 8 a.m. sharp. I busy myself with the regular chores, sweep the floors, put the dishes away, wipe down the counters. In his office, I find a drawer left just slightly ajar. I don't like what I see inside. A collection of brochures with pictures of smiling people, old people like me, Sunny Ridge, Pine Mountain Home, Cherry Hill, Memory Care and Assisted Living. I feel hot, confused. My son walks in at 5:30. He sees the brochures littered on the floor before he spots the knife clutched in my hands. Ma, I can explain. He approaches carefully. I lash at him. He wrestles the knife from my hand. You can't do this to me. I am your mother. He grits his teeth. There is only hatred in his eyes. He drives the knife into my chest. I don't bleed. I spark. I sputter. My left arm falls slack. I feel hot, confused. I try to speak, try to think, but I can't. I stumble backwards. My son catches me, holds me close as sobs rack his body. No, Mommy, don't leave me. Not again. I'll make this work. I'll fix you. He strokes my hair, thumbs the button behind my ear. Just go to sleep, Ma. I do. I wake up. I smile. Let me know down in the comments which story you liked the best. I think my favorite one was The Driver for the Dead. I really like the ending to that. I'm actually doing these videos daily, so there will be daily uploads of cozy, spooky readings, so make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.